Hey, welcome to my quick tutorial on making Rice Krispie treats specifically for cake decorating and molding. Starting with Rice Krispie treats cereal, just add about half of the large box to a large food processor to grind them down to a less rough texture, giving you a final smooth product so that you can melt down the mini marshmallows with a couple of tabs of butter in the microwave or on the cooktop on low until they're all melted and gooey and sticky like this. Then you're going to stir in the ground Rice Krispie cereal until it's somewhat sticky, but you do want it to be manageable. You don't want it to be too dry. Spread some softened butter in a glass casserole dish to completely grease it, and then place the Rice Krispie treats into the pan and flatten them out and let them sit. I let mine sit for 15 to 25 minutes so that it's cool before I go about molding it. I have these half sphere cake pans lined with plastic wrap. You could also just put the mold directly in those. You wouldn't have to put them in the pan first, but I just prefer. And then I just wad it all up, and then I'm going to set it down into that cake pan and then press down really, really well. And as you'll see, I just keep adding to it until it fills up the pan completely. I ended up using the entire pan. So if I had known that ahead of time, I could have totally just molded it directly in this cake pan. But either way, fill it all the way up, making sure to press down, get all those air pockets out as you go along. And then make sure that you add some more pressure to it at the very end and then wrap it tightly until you're ready to decorate it. I do go back later after I've let it sit for about 3 or 4 hours covered in plastic wrap in that mold, and I do ice it with chocolate ganache to kind of seal everything in. And I do, as you see here, use a measuring cup just to kind of flatten it out so it's smoother than what my hands can do. But really super easy, and this gives you a much sturdier sphere ball shape than trying to make it out of cake and then trying to cut it correctly and make it the perfect circle, which I cannot do. So just play around with it and make as much or as little as you need. You could easily double this recipe if you're doing a much larger ball. This is probably equivalent to a 6-inch round cake if you're curious about what size I'm using. And as I'm getting all those air bubbles out, I'm also thinking about the fact that, yeah, this is not going to be perfect, but that chocolate ganache is going to fill in some of those gaps. And then I'm also going to go over the chocolate ganache once it has set up and cooled and chilled with a thin layer of buttercream. So any little holes that you don't fill in doing this, you will cover them up with the chocolate ganache and buttercream. So as you can see there, it was just a nice little sphere. I'm going to wrap this in plastic wrap on both sides and then let it sit, a few hours before I put it on a cake board and then crumb coat it, if you want to call that, with the chocolate ganache icing.